All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this year's fourth and final pollution prevention webinar. This webinar is being put on by the Tennessee Pollution Prevention Program in collaboration with the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council. My name is Caleb Powell, and I'm an environmental scientist for the Office of Sustainable Practices at TAEBC, and I'll be hosting the webinar today for our wonderful speakers. So just a couple housekeeping items before we begin. Everyone is muted upon entry to reduce the amount of background noise, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to ask those in the chat and I'll work on getting those answered. And we really do hope that you have some questions for our speakers. I feel like a live webinar, that's one of the big benefits, is being able to answer questions, ask and answer questions in real time. So as you're listening to the presentations and seeing the slides, if you have any questions at all for our speakers, make sure that you send those in the chat box. Now I am sending a chat currently to everybody. It should be on your right hand side of the screen. And the chat that I sent says, this is the chat box, please send your questions here. Now, whenever, right next to the send to, there's a drop down. And so just make sure that the word host is in one of, there's a lot of different options to pick from whenever you're sending a message in the chat box. But make sure that the word host is in one, host or all, to make sure that I get that chat and I can make sure that our speakers get those questions. So just to give a brief overview of what's going to be covered today, during this webinar, we will be highlighting Energy Network Program partners that incubate and accelerate the latest clean tech companies, Innovation Crossroads, and the Spark Innovation Center. We will learn about opportunities for decarbonization, partnerships, mentorship, and assisting startups with customer discovery. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on over to the main person that helped bring all this together, Courtney Piper. She's the executive director for the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council, and she's going to go over a little bit about what TAEBC is and introduce some of our other speakers. So the floor is yours, Courtney.
Great, thank you, Caleb. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Courtney Piper. I serve as executive director of the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we champion advanced energy in Tennessee as an economic development and job creation strategy. And our definition of advanced energy is technology neutral. So anything that makes energy cleaner, safer, more secure, more efficient, it's in the tent, and it includes electricity and transportation. We have 4 commitments to our members and stakeholders, one of which we will be highlighting today. But our members typically enjoy the networking and the information sharing that comes with just collaborating with industry peers, whether they have corporate sustainability goals that they are trying to meet and identifying different technologies and processes to do that, or if they are manufacturing or making in some direct way an advanced energy widget, trying to improve those processes or just increase the visibility of their company throughout the state of Tennessee. So we, like I said, we have 4 commitments to our members and stakeholders. The first one is to make Tennessee the #1 state in the country for make Tennessee the #1 state in the Southeast for high quality jobs. We'll get to the #1 state in the country eventually. So we do a number of things to this end. We host information sharing events and webinars. We produce a report every 3 years that measures the state of Tennessee's advanced energy economy. And at the end of this year, November 15th, we will be hosting our annual Opportunities in Energy event. That is in Knoxville, Tennessee. It is all day, November 15th. We'd like to invite you all to come to that, where we'll have industry members, research partners, sharing advanced energy opportunities. Specifically, our featured panel includes Governor Bredesen, Senator Lamar Alexander, and the UT President Randy Boyd talking about the evolution of the automotive industry. We'll also have a panel talking about GHG reduction, carbon offset strategies, in addition to highlighting a number of specific technologies and various kinds of programs that are established specifically for companies like yours to take advantage of and learn more about. We also have a podcast called Energizing Tennessee, where we explore all things advanced energy related to Tennessee. You can find that wherever you listen to your podcasts. Our second commitment to our members and our stakeholders is to help our local power companies and TBA become energy companies of the future. The energy and utility landscape has changed dynamically just within the last 3 to 5 years. Our organization positions itself as a resource for those entities so they can adopt the latest and greatest technologies and plan for the future, and just sort of know what's available and what their customers are demanding. One of the other things that we do, which we'll be talking about here today, is we foster the growth of Tennessee advanced energy technologies and startups. We do this through a program called the Energy Network in partnership with Launch Tennessee, where we provide mentoring services and programs to advanced energy startups. At any given point in time, we have over 20 startups in that network, primarily working through the Innovation Crossroads program at Oak Ridge National Lab, which Dan Miller will tell you a little bit more about, and the Spark Cleantech Accelerator and Incubator at the University of Tennessee Research Park, which Lily Tench will tell you more about. We know that it's important for companies like yours, companies that have corporate sustainability goals, to be on the forefront of not only the technologies that are available today to help you decarbonize and meet sustainability goals, but also to have your finger on the pulse of things that are happening, or might be available 5, 7, 10 plus years into the future so that you can plan for those things. So through this Energy Network, today you'll hear a little bit more about those programs, and you'll hear specifically from 2 graduates of those programs to talk to you about how they have developed and are commercializing their technology. Also with the Energy Network, we invite you all, members of the Tennessee Green Start Partnership, to be part of that Energy Network. You can mentor a startup, you can help them with customer discovery. We've had a couple of Green Star partners help startups in these 2 programs with customer discovery. If you'd like to enter into some sort of partnership, whether that's a pilot or demonstration project, and then also helping us inform what kind of startups or technologies you're most interested in, so we can bring those into this network and you all can have access to those. So we will be sending out a survey after this. We'll pop a link in the chat also. So after you listen and learn a little bit more about Innovation Crossroads and the Spark Cleantech Accelerator and Incubator, if you all want to mentor, help with customer discovery, help with startup selection, or make yourself available for a partnership, we'd love to have you all get more engaged in the Energy Network. So that's a little bit about us. We also like to take all of that expertise to a federal level because Tennessee does have such a robust advanced energy economy. We think as programs and initiatives are being developed in Washington, D.C., that we have a lot of expertise to share, so that's what we do. We are part of several coalitions that participate in this sort of information sharing in Washington, D.C., one of which is the National Clean Energy Incubator Coalition. It's a mouthful. I had to think about the order of the words there. But we work together with these kinds of clean tech accelerators across the country just to make sure we're all appropriately funded and available to help move these new technologies forward. So that's a little bit about the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council. We're happy to be with you all here today, talk to you a little bit more about these programs that accelerate and incubate advanced energy startups, and see if you all might be interested in helping us do that. So our first speaker here that I would like to introduce is, and I have lost my agenda. Oh, it's right here. Our first speaker to tell you a little bit more about the Spark Cleantech Accelerator is Lily Tench. She is the director of that program. So Lily, please take it away.
Hello, thank you, Courtney, and thank you all for being here. And I really appreciate you all giving us this chance to share a little bit about what we're doing. Can you all see and hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. So I am happy to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at the Spark Innovation Center. So we are located at the University of Tennessee Research Park in Knoxville, Tennessee. And the idea of the Research Park is that it is a gateway for collaboration between the university and industry so that they can be located side by side and collaborate together on research. And the Spark Innovation Center, which is in the UT Research Park, is the entrepreneurship arm of that. And the reason for starting the Spark Innovation Center was because we really have some incredible resources here in technology and in research in East Tennessee. So we have Oak Ridge National Laboratory, we have the Innovation Crossroads program, which you're going to hear more about in a moment. We have TVA, the largest public utility. We have an R1 Research University all in one spot, which means we have an incredible amount of innovation and technology coming out of this area, but in order to convert this research into business that can actually grow and thrive and stay here in the region, we realized we were still missing a few things. So advanced tech companies like this need space to build in. They have special requirements. They need access to lab space and to shared advanced equipment, which is difficult for early stage companies to pay for and build out that lab space themselves. So they need a place to land and to grow. They still, at that early stage, they still need a lot of support and mentorship on the business side and guidance from industry partners. And then they also need access to capital and funding. And if they cannot find those things here, then they tend to move elsewhere. So that was the inspiration behind starting the Spark Innovation Center. And this was just started in 2020. You can all agree, great time to start something. And so we are currently located in the UT Research Park in the Institute for Advanced Materials and Manufacturing. And we pursue this goal of supporting these advanced tech companies through two primary programs. We have the Spark Cleantech Accelerator, which we are currently in our second cohort of, and we are partnering with the Innovation Crossroads program to not only have our 6 new clean tech companies coming through this program, but also the incoming cohort of Innovation Crossroads. So we have 13 companies going through this program together right now. It is a 12-week rigorous business accelerator. So it is to take advanced tech companies and teach them how to build a business model, how to understand their market, how to build a brand, how to protect their intellectual property, and on and on. Then we also have the Spark Incubator program, which provides physical lab space for companies to locate in and grow here in the research park. So that is a ongoing program. They'll have a 2-year lease here and then a possibility to renew as well. So this was started 3 years ago, and so far with our 13 incubator clients, they have raised $31.5 million in grants, $19.2 million in equity investment, created 52 jobs here in East Tennessee, had 25 internships with the University of Tennessee, and have had 15 employees move to Knoxville from cities around the country and world. So 84% of the companies that we have worked with are still located in East Tennessee, which is something that we are really proud of. So I'll just give you a little taste of the kind of companies that we are working with. And it's hard to choose because we have a lot of amazing stuff going on here, but I spoke to Mallory and Courtney about which ones might be most interesting to this audience, and decided to focus on carbon capture first. So 3 companies that are working in this space are, one is Sky Nano. So Sky Nano captures CO2 and converts it into high-value products and carbon nanotubes. So they will capture CO2 at the point where it is emitted and actually turn a valuable product out of it. Holocene is a little bit different. They have direct air carbon capture. So they have created a machine that just sucks carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, and then they sell carbon credits to companies to offset their carbon emissions. Then we have Agritech Producers, LLC. They are currently in our accelerator program, and they grow biocrops that have a high rate of CO2 capture. So they have high growth. They're currently doing a biomass sorghum, and then they convert these products into, or in these crops into products such as biochar, so they can both use and sequester that carbon. A few other companies I will talk about quickly are in the waste to value category. So one is Farm to Flame Energy, and they work with industrial manufacturing facilities to turn biomass waste streams into heat or energy. Then we have Align Composites Technology, and they create lightweight, durable, high performance and stronger composite materials by using aligned non-woven fibers. And they can do natural fibers and recycled materials, and then have fully recyclable composite materials. Then another one is Redo. They're currently in the new incoming Innovation Crossroads program and participating in the Spark Cleantech Accelerator. And they convert various types of plastic waste, such as bottles, plastics and carpet, textiles, packaging, into marketable chemicals. So that is just a taste. We have many more that I would love to talk about, and there is my email right there. We are absolutely interested in forming partnerships with industry for pilot opportunities, for mentorship, guiding these young companies on understanding the industries they are trying to enter, and really getting a understanding of their customers' true needs. That is something we stress very strong at the beginning, at these early stages, is to really talk to their customers, get out of the lab, understand how they can develop something that is really solving their customers' problems. So if you are interested in talking further or potentially partnering with any of these new technologies, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Great, thank you, Lily. All right, next up is Dan Miller. He is the Director of Innovation Crossroads, and he'll tell you a little bit about the Innovation Crossroads program and some of the startups that he's got in that program currently. After that, you'll hear from 2 graduates of these accelerator programs, and then we'll have Q&A with everybody on the line. So, Dan, please go ahead.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, again, my name's Dan Miller. I'm the Director of the Innovation Crossroads program at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. I'm going to give you a quick overview of our program, and actually we have a couple of entrepreneurs that have previously come through our program that will give you a flavor of the kinds of technologies and things that we deal with. Innovation Crossroads is one of 4 laboratory embedded entrepreneurship programs in the Department of Energy system. The map there on the screen shows the location of the 4 programs. The first was at Lawrence Berkeley Lab on the West Coast, and that's called Cyclotron Road. And then the 3 others are, of course, Innovation Crossroads at Oak Ridge National Lab, Chain Reaction Innovations at Argonne National Lab outside of Chicago, and then Westgate, which is at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory in Colorado. All 4 of these programs are structured very similarly. They're 2-year entrepreneurial fellowship programs that recruit energy and advanced manufacturing entrepreneurs to come and work at those respective laboratories for a 2-year period in the hopes of making a step change in the technology to grow, to start and grow high impact startups in energy and advanced manufacturing. And really when the Department of Energy started the Lab Embedded Entrepreneurship Program, they wanted to provide an avenue for talented technical people to pursue entrepreneurship and to leverage the national labs in a technology development capacity to help those startups grow in the hopes of developing the next class of great tech entrepreneurs for this country. So our program is structured. It's a 2-year fellowship. So the selected entrepreneurs receive a stipend and benefits throughout the 2 years of the program. And then separately, there is R&D funding that funds the collaborative research and development at the laboratory. And while the entrepreneurs are in the program, we surround them with a lot of support and business training to basically to help them grow their business. All in all, we estimate it's about a $500,000 package value over the 2 years for those that are selected into the program. We're primarily supported by the U.S. Department of Energy and mainly by the Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Technologies Office, but we have support from some of the other program offices as well, including Building Technologies, Office of Electricity, and the Office of Science. One thing that makes our program stand out is our partnership with the Tennessee Valley Authority. So TVA has been a sponsor for the last 5 years of our program, but more importantly, they provide a lot of mentorship and guidance to the companies in our program as they're looking to develop their technologies for specific energy applications. TVA is a fantastic partner and really sets us apart from the other lab embedded entrepreneurship programs in the system. And then the Oak Ridge National Laboratory itself also directly supports this program. The Oak Ridge National Lab is it's a large organization that has a lot of capabilities. A number of them are listed on the screen. What's nice about our program is that the entrepreneurs selected can work in all parts of the laboratory. They're not restricted from working in just a certain parts of the laboratory, so they can access the full range of capabilities that Oak Ridge National Laboratory has to offer. Oak Ridge is the largest multidisciplinary laboratory in the Department of Energy system and has cutting-edge expertise in a lot of different areas, and our entrepreneurs take advantage of all those areas. So far, we started in 2017, and we've selected a new cohort in every year since then. In total, selected 38 startups. The companies currently in the program right now are, you can see on the bottom there, cohort 2023 and 2022. The cohort 2023 just came on board a couple of months ago, and as Lily said, we've partnered with the Spark Cleantech Accelerator, so that cohort is going through the Cleantech Accelerator right now, along with the Spark CTA companies. A few high-level metrics, like I mentioned, 38 startups supported so far. They've raised in excess of $150 million in follow-on funding, created 200 jobs, and it's exciting that the sales revenue of these companies are picking up. So we've got 16 startups now with sales over 10 million, and that number is starting to, those numbers are kind of, you see that hockey stick graph. This is the follow-on funding received. So the companies that have come through in the earlier cohorts are starting to gain a lot of traction and attract a lot of funding. So we're very excited as those companies grow. Another thing that's been very encouraging is a number of companies that are staying here in East Tennessee. The vast majority of companies coming into our program are coming from outside the region, but a majority of them are staying here in the region, which we think is very encouraging, and it's very exciting for our ecosystem. It's helped really transform our entrepreneurial landscape. You can see a couple of these companies, Shift Thermal and Electroactive Technologies. We're going to hear from them later in this program. A big reason why we've been able to retain a lot of these companies is the partners here that we work with. Lily talked about the Spark Innovation Center and Cleantech Accelerator. They're a huge partner to Innovation Crossroads. Courtney had mentioned the Energy Network, which is which the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council manages. A lot of Innovation Crossroads companies have taken advantage of that and have been able to gain a lot of valuable insight and mentorship along the way. And then the state of Tennessee is a really important partner for us. You see Launch Tennessee represented on the screen here. I already talked about TVA. So we have a vast and growing number of partners that our entrepreneurs that we attract in our program can plug into and take advantage of as they're growing their businesses. Yeah, and with that, I'll stop there. But thanks for having me.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dan. All right, now you're going to hear from two graduates of the Innovation Crossroads program and also participants in Spark and part of the Energy Network as well. And before I introduce them, I just want to remind you all, we will be putting a link in the chat. You'll get an email after this. If you want to be more involved with the Energy Network, whether you want to mentor, offer your company up for some customer discovery, help us select startups, or make yourself available for a pilot or demonstration project or some sort of partnership, you can let us know that and we'll get you more involved with the network. So the first graduate you will hear from is Alex Lewis. He is the co-founder and CEO of Electroactive Technologies, and he'll tell you a little bit more about his company. Alex?
Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO at Electroactive Technologies, and this company was actually developed here locally here in Tennessee with my co-founder that we did work at Oak Ridge National Lab and at University of Tennessee, and then launched the company here locally, and then eventually went through the Innovation Crossroads program, so really have benefited from the ecosystem here in Tennessee. But our company is really focused on using food and other organic waste to produce clean hydrogen with carbon removal to really help with decarbonization and managing food waste. So almost 40% of food is wasted in the world, which is just a staggering amount. But we see this problem as an opportunity to help solve one of the other critical problems in producing affordable zero-emission fuels like hydrogen. And we focused on hydrogen because it has a lot of promise for decarbonization efforts, because it has a lot of versatile uses across industries, including transportation, fuel, feedstocks for industrial processes, fertilizer production, and a growing number of other use cases, which I'll talk about. But it needs to be produced affordably and renewably to realize those kind of benefits, and that's what we're accomplishing at Electroactive. So we've developed a modular system that takes a holistic circular approach to take different types of organic waste and food waste as input and helps us to produce hydrogen, and as well as a sustainable co-product in fertilizer. This hydrogen can be used on site with different customers as a source of energy or fuel for their process, and while the co-product can be put back into food production to create more of a closed loop circular process to reduce carbon emissions. And by doing this and avoiding other waste going to landfill or to energy intensive treatment options, and reducing the overall transportation and waste management costs, we can achieve a negative carbon life cycle of around 94 tons of CO2 removed for every ton of hydrogen that we produce. And so that really can help companies decarbonize, help communities decarbonize while managing waste and lowering overall costs. So there are a growing number of hydrogen use applications to make use of that energy and fuel that we produce, including in materials handling with fuel cell forklifts, or as a source of backup power that can be used in fuel cells to keep operations more resilient. It's also being looked at as a fuel in transportation for fuel cell trucks, for heavy-duty transportation, buses, and even fleets, which can be made more possible with our solution by making low-cost hydrogen from waste. So some of the target markets we're looking at, as you might expect, are in the food and beverage industry, where there is a lot of waste being produced, to help with compliance for a growing number of legislation and other things that are tightening, environmental compliance and avoiding some of the emissions and waste that are happening, whether it's wastewater or sending food waste to landfill. We're seeing a growing number of policies around the country to divert organics from the landfill and tighten and require more extensive treatment options we can help with. The majority of food waste, though, is managed by waste haulers, because the majority comes out of homes and from restaurants and is managed by waste haulers. So we can provide a processing option to waste haulers to better make use of the organic waste they're collecting. We also can work with utilities to provide a distributed pathway for hydrogen production to help achieve net zero goals and decarbonize some of their assets. The technology was originally developed in the context of a biorefinery to work with other biochemical processes and biofuel processes to use the waste coming off of that, and the hydrogen produced can be used to upgrade those fuels and chemicals, and that's still a viable pathway for us in the long term that we'll be pursuing. So we've been scaling up this technology from our work at Oak Ridge and through Innovation Crossroads and with our company here. We have a couple ongoing pilots and some that are in the pipeline. Our first pilot was in South Korea, co-located at a food waste treatment plant, and we completed the phase one about a year ago and are continuing through additional phases. We're also working with another utility here in the Southeast, Southern Company Gas, on a Department of Energy grant to develop this distributed pathway for hydrogen production and using waste within this region. We're also working with a winery out in California to demonstrate the use of a high alcohol content, organic content winery waste stream to show how this can be applied in that kind of beverage operation. And then we're also in discussions for how we can deploy this in a more of a grocery store environment or at distribution centers where different food waste is being produced, and produce that hydrogen to be used in fuel cell forklifts. So kind of getting pilots touching on a couple different verticals to show how this can work in different areas and with different complexities of waste. So just to kind of back up to kind of where we came from and where we've been going, as I mentioned, we came out of Oak Ridge National Lab and have joined a number of accelerators for which Innovation Crossroads was probably the most beneficial for us to go through, with the business development and resources through that program, but also the funds for R&D development, which we're able to dig into our system and be able to characterize it and understand some of the conditions that lead to more stable and higher performance. In combination with TVA during that project, we rejoined back in 2019. But we use what we learned there and the success there to join a couple of additional accelerators. We've raised private funds since that time and are continuing through our progression into larger scales and pilot demonstrations. And we're now actively raising $2 million, which kind of leads me into my final slide here of some of the opportunities we have for interaction right now. We are looking for investment in raising $2 million round to help us build our second generation pilot system and execute on some of the pilots we have in the pipeline to develop our first customer contracts. We're also looking for additional pilot opportunities here in the Southeast region specifically, so always interested to discuss potential opportunities or thoughts on where we could apply this kind of system in this area. As we're moving from in-house assembly of our pilot systems to more advanced systems, we need to develop a manufacturing plan, and I've begun those conversations with different people around the country, but are always looking for new insights and potential partnerships to help us develop that further. We're also always looking to get additional mentorship with the Advanced Energy Mentor Network, really helping there as well. But for anybody new in the webinar, certainly looking to always get more expertise input from experienced people with expertise in potentially in organic waste management, waste to energy conversion, and other areas that our technology crosses over. So always looking to discuss and talk about how we can improve what we're doing. So I can wrap it up there and take any questions, or those might be saved for the general Q&A, but that's all I have.
Great. Thanks, Alex. All right, before we do Q&A, we will hear from Mitch Ishmael. He's the CTO of Shift Thermal. So Mitch, go ahead.
Great, thanks, Courtney. So first I'm going to go through just a general style pitch and then talk a little bit more about where we're hoping to get some help from you all being part of this call. So we all know that the world is getting more urban. Cities are growing at a pretty staggering pace. Globally, 1 New York City worth of building floor space is added every year, which means more air conditioning and more electrified heat. And it's not a surprise that building heating and cooling are two of the leading drivers then of electricity demand growth worldwide. And if we want to have a sustainable future, we're going to have to make heating and cooling more sustainable. The key is thermal energy storage, making thermal energy storage more affordable, efficient, and practical. So I think it's an appropriate place to start to talk about the leading incumbent cold storage solution, water-based thermal storage. Water's nice, it's practically free, it's very safe, it's infinitely recyclable, it sounds perfect. The challenge is it's really hard to get thermal energy in and out of it, and in our case, make ice and melt ice. So specifically with ice thermal storage today, the ice making heat exchanger is really large. This is what systems look like today in buildings. And they use miles worth of tubing. And that's because of a specific property of water. It loves to freeze to cold surfaces. And we all experience that in our everyday lives, like this kid in the Christmas story. And if you don't believe me, I dare you to try. I triple dog dare you. But this sticking also insulates cold surfaces, and it limits the energy that can flow across it. That's why ice storage today often has long payback periods, 6, 7, 8 years, and efficiencies lower than 80%. When you can compare to like a lithium ion or something like that, which has round trip efficiencies of 90% or higher. That's where our core innovation comes in. If you can freeze without sticking, you unlock the potential of ice thermal storage. And that's what our core innovation, isotopic heat exchange, does. With an IHEX-based heat exchanger, we can deliver thermal storage that has 90% round-trip efficiency and is affordable with paybacks much less than 3 years. And for retrofit applications, which there's a lot of retrofit applications available, we can often be the lowest cost upfront option. So our solution integrates chillers in our initial target application, and we're currently exploring architectures for integrating with heat pumps. So the need is great as well as the opportunity. So looking at some of the TAM, SAM, and then the go-to-market sizes, and we've initially targeted a go-to-market of just New York City specifically because of the regulatory regime there and the success of ICE in New York City to date. There's more familiarity there, so we think it's a pretty good beachhead market. We've scaled our technology up 100 times to a commercial scale thermal storage prototype. We have 2 operational systems at our facility, and we're finishing up a 3rd. So to give you a sense of what this system can do, it can cool, or it works in a building's cooling system for somewhere around a 50 to 100,000 square foot building and can provide about a day of cooling storage. We've proven the material durability, the system cyclability, and the efficiency of the system. Talk a little bit about carbon reduction. We help reduce greenhouse gas emissions by enabling building heating and cooling to be powered by renewables, and this can be more than a gigaton of carbon reduction potential. We also help to adapt to climate change by providing affordable cooling resiliency during intensifying heat waves, which seem to be happening more and more often. And I think it's important, particularly for low-income communities that need it most. They're the least likely to have adequate air conditioning, so making cooling shelters more accessible and affordable to build will help considerably. So it's my co-founder and I, Lavana Toyin. We came out of Cornell with our PhDs. We invented the technology. We have a strong team of engineers and board members and investors and advisors who support our commercialization efforts. We have 2 patents pending, 5 years worth of trade secrets, and we're heavily involved in the thermal storage world. We're part of DOE's Thermal Energy Storage Consortium, and currently working within an ASHRAE committee to develop a new testing standard for thermal energy storage. We have a system demonstration scheduled with the National Renewable Energy Lab out in Colorado in Q1 of next year. That's really like a third-party validation type of project, testing in a laboratory. We form relationships and receive support from many different OEMs, just listing Danfoss and Multistack here. We're pursuing joint development with some of them. They're a key part of our commercialization pathway. To date, we've won about $4.5 million in grants, and earlier this year we closed $1 million raise
notably investment from Clean Energy Ventures through Roots Capital, Clean City Angels, and E8. So yeah, now I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about some of the pilot testing opportunities that we'd love to explore, as well as industry partnerships. If anyone can make connections there, it'd be greatly appreciated. So we're looking for pilot testing opportunities. So I mentioned this NREL third-party validation. The next step really then is field validation. That's so important because it allows us to engage deeply with manufacturers. I'm thinking, again, Carrier, Train, Daikin, Danfoss, Multistack, et cetera, these type of companies, and it allows us to execute together and demonstrate real value for real customers. So if there's anyone on the call that can make connections with respect to pilot testing opportunities, that'd be greatly appreciated. And then next, as you can tell, our commercialization pathways heavily dependent on equipment manufacturers. And we have good contacts throughout the cooling world, but I mentioned heat pumps during the presentation, and we recently developed a system architecture where we use isothermal storage during cooling months and hot water storage during heating months. And we're still working on vetting this idea with heat pump manufacturers and seeing what the interest is there, and would greatly appreciate any connections that can be made to that effect. So thank you very much. I hope you'll join us as we address one of the biggest issues facing us today, ensuring sustainable and resilient growth of our cities through better heating and cooling. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Mitch. All right, we've got our Q&A portion now. So I'd like to welcome back Mitch, Alex, Lily, and Dan, and I will open up the floor for questions now. Attendees, if you have a question, just feel free to ask in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, I actually had a couple questions come in, so I will go ahead and ask those. And yeah, like Courtney mentioned, please make sure that if you have any questions or leads or opportunities for Alex or for Mitch, let us know about that. And let's see, let me pull this first one. All right, so the first question I guess will maybe be for Lily and Dan. It says, could you talk a little bit more about how Spark Innovation Center and Innovation Crossroads work together? It says, I heard about how you guys partner, just like to know a little bit more about how.
Yeah, so I can go first, and Lily, I'll let you fill in what I miss. But so Innovation Crossroads has this past year been really lucky to be a partner with Spark, with the Spark Cleantech Accelerator. So Lily and her team started the Spark Cleantech Accelerator last year in 2022 and brought on a set of companies. And as we saw the value of what everybody was getting through that program, we thought that it would be a natural fit for the companies that were getting selected into Innovation Crossroads go through that program along with the other startups that Spark was recruiting. And so now, so now both the Innovation Crossroads companies and the Spark companies are going through that same program together, and they're kind of getting the same experience. And so instead of 6 companies, now there's 13 total. And a big part of the value of kind of going through as a class is the founders of the companies. So that's been really valuable, and that's for the entrepreneurs to grow a peer network and have that peer support as they're going through going through building their companies. So we're very grateful to have that that we were able to do this, and Spark is an awesome partner. Spark and the University of Tennessee is an awesome partner for Innovation Crossroads and Oak Ridge National Lab. Lily, what did I miss here?
Thank you, Dan. I'll turn my camera on here. So yes, that is a very, that's a great description of how we're working together on the cleantech accelerator. I would say, just to elaborate a little bit on, our two programs complement each other really well. So Innovation Crossroads has the 2-year fellowship program, and I would say Spark partners well on the front end and then on the back end. So we have, on the front end, we have them going through the accelerator together over this 12-week period. And that's, so that's for our new companies coming in, and then it's also for the new Innovation Crossroads cohort. So it's a great way for them to kind of get rooted in the area and get caught up on business fundamentals and everything, and kind of build that community of entrepreneurs. And then on the back end of the Innovation Crossroads program, a lot of the graduates coming out of Innovation Crossroads has ended up coming into the Spark incubator. So they now have lab space over at our incubator space. So that's the partnership of those two programs together has been part of how we've been able to see a lot of these companies be able to stay and grow in this area.
Yeah, so I actually had another one that came in that might be sort of more slated for you guys as well. It says, what's the best way for manufacturers to get engaged with not just the companies on the webinar today, but other startups engaging in both these programs, looking to possibly serve as mentors or as pilot sites for developing technology?
Great question. Caleb or Mallory, if you want to pop a link to that survey into the chat right now, just fill out that survey, and then we'll plug you in more to the network and to both of these programs.
I'm putting that in the chat right now for everyone. Let's see. Survey link. Should be getting that in the chat. Yep. There's that. It said, one just came in that said, are any of these laboratories looking to fund generators that use heat to create an electric current?
That is very specific. Any of the laboratories looking to fund? I mean, I would say, without knowing more about that technology or innovator, yeah, I can't, it's hard to speak to that exactly, but I would say that would be a candidate for either of the programs we've talked about today.
Definitely, and what I'll do is afterwards I'll connect Michael and one of the attendees that asked that question to you guys, and maybe you guys can have a further, further discussion about that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds good, Caleb.
Let's see, and so I've got a question that came in for Alex. It says, it looks like you all have had success with your pilots so far and more in the pipeline. What do you all see as the timeline for market-ready applications, or are you already there?
Yeah, we are progressing through our pilots, but still have a few more planned there. So I would say we are looking at, for the first market-ready application, I would say, late 2024, early 2025 would probably be the earliest times to get small-scale systems. The next pilot we have in the pipeline are testing small units, but those units are commercially sized in that we can just be replicating those systems and then make commercial systems. So we just need to get kind of our manufacturing built up and then just start replicating those systems. But yeah, I would say late 2024, early 2025 would be probably the timeline for engaging on the first commercial systems post those next pilots.
Awesome. And yet oh, actually one more just came in for you, Alex. It says, so sorry if I missed this, what sort of pre-processing is necessary for food waste in your system?
Yeah, so for food waste and other kind of solid types of waste, although food waste is 60 to 80% liquid, our system is a liquid-based system, so we go through a pre-treatment process to create solid and liquid fractions using a kind of screw press or extrusion type process to extract the liquid part of it, and that's what goes into our core system to make hydrogen. And those dewatered solids or pulp is what's used to make a fertilizer product. So yeah, we do need to create solid and liquid fractions from the feedstock that we use. And that's where we do target, beverage operations that are only liquid, and then there's no pre-treatment required, but those food wastes do require that solid liquid separation.
Thanks for that. So if everyone's not sort of looking at the chat, there was a question that says, is there any programs in West Tennessee? And Courtney replied by the Energy Network is statewide. These two programs are based in East Tennessee, but can be accessed there's access throughout the entire state. So just if you're not checking out the chat box, wanted to make sure that everyone that's listening saw that question and answer. There was maybe this is just a comment. It says White Harvest Energy has CHP technology in use at the Erlanger Hospital in Chattanooga, combined heating and power. So I think that was just a comment, but just wanted to make sure that was mentioned. And then I had one more all I'm seeing currently. This isn't really a question, but this is for Mitch, asking, have you been plugged in with best practices? It's like 3 or 4 different magazines that have to do with chillers and boilers, compressed air systems. I actually get the magazine sent to me, but didn't know if you have been plugged in with that.
No, we haven't. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, I don't know if a link can be posted or if you can send that directly. That'd be helpful.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good friends with the editor, and actually I'm going to be going to their expo and conference in Chicago at the end of this month. So I'll make that connection with you. But
thanks.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not seeing any more questions. If you have any questions, make sure that you send those in the chat for us. I really appreciate all the questions that have already came through. That's a benefit of having a live webinar, is being able to ask questions and get those answered right off the bat. But let's see, I'm not seeing any more. Courtney, do you have anything that you wanted to add, or anybody else wanted to add before we end?
Yeah, just some final thoughts. Again, another plug to fill out that survey if you all want to learn more about different ways that you can access these programs as well as the Energy Network. Of course, we would invite you all to join the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council. You can find out more at tnadvancedenergy.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to our podcast, all that kind of good stuff, so you can get the latest and greatest advanced energy news and trends from us. And Kayla will put the link in there, but November 15th, Opportunities in Energy, you all are invited to join us for that event, which is all day on November 15th. So we hope you all can join us and meet some of these folks in person and continue the connections and collaborations.
Yeah, and I will make sure that with the follow-up for this webinar, with the follow-ups for our webinars, we always include the recording link, so you'll be able to rewatch this back if there's something that you wanted to show someone or look over again. I will also be including all of the links that we put into the chat, everything that Courtney has mentioned. We'll make sure that that is in the follow-up as well. So I just wanted to give a round of applause for all of our speakers and for Courtney, the work that you're doing with the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council. It's such great work that all of you do, and I'm excited to see where Alex and where Mitch, where your companies go, and the different pilots that come from, hopefully from this webinar, maybe some connections that we can make. I wanted to give a update or give just sort of a highlight of an upcoming event that we have. Our 2023 Tennessee Pollution Prevention Workshop is going to be held in conjunction with the Tennessee Environmental Conference in Kingsport, Tennessee. And that is on Monday, October 23rd. And it's going to be a half-day workshop at the start of the Tennessee Environmental Conference. In the follow-up email, I will include information on how to register. It's a free workshop. And then also, if you sign up for the workshop you also get a discount code for the environment conference the 2 following days after that. So like I said, in the follow-up, I will include all that information. I just wanted to thank everybody for registering and for attending. We couldn't do our pollution prevention webinar series without having an audience, so appreciate that. If you have any questions, or you come up with a question that you want asked our wonderful speakers that you didn't think of right away, feel free to contact me. You'll be receiving an email from me, but my email is caleb, CALEB.powell, POWELL, @tn.gov. And like I said, be on the lookout for a follow-up email with all of this great information. So thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you for hosting us, Caleb. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.